giant sovereign citizen.
There's no injured party in this case. So
there doesn't have to be.
There does. In order to set bond against me, there has to be an injured party. Yeah, and I made that clear to the officer that I was traveling. I wasn't driving. I have that.
Were you in a car?
I have that on film too.
So were you in a car?
Yes, I was. As jurisdiction must be proven on the record before any further proceedings can lawfully continue.
Therefore, Mr. Page, I find you responsible.
This sovereign citizen just stepped into court and completely fell flat on his face. What made this one different was the judge's approach. She didn't argue, didn't interrupt, just sat back and let him ramble on and on. Every bizarre claim about fake laws, contracts that don't exist, and how his traveling, not driving, went straight onto the record. It was like watching someone argue with a brick wall, only this time, the wall was silently setting him up for a brutal downfall. Honestly, it was painful and hilarious at the same time. What do you guys think? Should sovereign citizens be given a harder line, or is letting them self-destruct the best approach? Either way, let's dive in and watch this guy get completely dismantled in court.
All right, we're back on record. Were you two able to have discussions?
We had the discussion, Your Honor, but we're unable to reach a resolution.
Okay, so was an offer made?
Yes.
Okay, can you just tell me what the offer was?
Yes, Your Honor. The people offered to reduce the charge of speeding 11 to 15 over to a double parking.
All right, and Mr. Page, you understand that's a civil infraction, has a fine of $165, but it doesn't have any points on your license.
Right.
Okay, and you've rejected that offer?
I have.
Okay. All right, so we're proceeding with our hearing then.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Page, is there something you want to, if you're just going to read me a giant sovereign citizen objection to my jurisdiction, I'll give you 2 minutes to put whatever you want to put on record, and then we're proceeding with the hearing. Fair?
Don't I have the right to be heard lawfully?
Well, you have the right to ask questions to the witness.
Okay.
And to, make any arguments you want to the court.
Right.
But as far as jurisdictional arguments, the court does have jurisdiction.
Okay, is this court operating in administrative or judicial law?
I'm not participating in this, sir.
I would.
Well, this is a court of law.
I would have to know because there's no injured party in this case. So
there doesn't have to be.
There does. In order to set bond against me, there has to be an injured party.
Okay. Anything else? I am operating under the laws of the state of Michigan and the Michigan Constitution. And that's the information that I'm willing to provide. And and I'm certain you're aware of that, sir. You've lived in the United States for your life.
And I'm also aware that I have the right to freely travel at my own vehicle.
Correct.
That I maintain and take care of. There was no injured party. I was not engaged in commerce or commercial activity.
Okay. Well, they can get tickets too for speeding.
I'm protected under the Constitution. Speed limit's not law. The Constitution says that.
Actually,
the speed limit is statute, code, and ordinance.
Correct. Statute and ordinance. That's correct.
So how could I be charged if we're operating under this type of law and no injured party?
Well, your federal right to travel under the state or the federal Constitution doesn't mean that you're not subject to regulatory. I mean, do we not have to get driver's licenses? Do we not have to get car insurance? Do we not have to follow basic speed laws? I mean, you can have a constitutional right with limits and or regulatory provisions or statutory provisions. The right to drive is not written in the Constitution. The right to travel is.
Yeah, and I made that clear to the officer that I was traveling. I wasn't driving. I have that.
Were you in a car?
I have that on film too.
So were you in a car?
Yes, I was.
All right, you were operating a motor vehicle. And were you in the city of Taylor?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I wasn't operating a motor vehicle though. I was traveling freely down the road.
All right, here's the thing. Sovereign citizens always recycle the same tired line. I'm not driving, I'm traveling. Like, dude, you're not backpacking across Europe with a map and a dream. You're in a beat-up Honda Civic flying 55 through a school zone. They really think if they call it traveling, the law just throws up its hands like, Oh, my mistake. Carry on, noble traveler. Reality check. Courts have ruled for decades that if you're operating a motor vehicle on public roads, you're driving. Period. You need a license, you need insurance, and you need a pinch of common sense, something these folks never seem to bring with them. Honestly, it's like walking into Chipotle, grabbing a burrito, and telling the cashier you're just exchanging energy instead of buying food. So let me know in the comments, what IQ are you giving this guy? I'm somewhere between room temperature soup and expired yogurt.
In a motor vehicle.
That I maintain and take care of myself, that's my property.
Okay. I understand that. That doesn't affect this. I mean, you were driving a car in the city of Taylor. Yes. Okay. And that's why we're here.
Okay.
Okay.
Your Honor, people who would waive opening at this time would be prepared to call their first witness when you're ready.
Okay. Call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we call Corporal Billy Schillenberg to the stand.
You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Okay. Have a seat.
58 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone at 694.5 feet.
Wait, say that again. 58 miles per hour. No, what was the speed limit there?
45.
And based on the reading that you received of 58 and you were monitoring a 45 mile an hour zone, what did you do next?
At that time, when I got the 58 and 45, when I got the 58 and 45, set my LiDAR device down. I maintained visual sight of the vehicle that I got the reading from. When Mr. Page approached my patrol vehicle, so when I exited the parking lot which I was sitting in.
Objection, I approached your vehicle.
All right. I think, can you just clarify when you say?
I never got out of my vehicle.
All right, well, let's let him clarify the answer.
Okay.
I took it to mean something
Sorry,
else,
Your
so
Honor.
no, you have a right to make an objection. Can you just have him clarify what he means by
Yes,
that?
Corporal Schillenberg, can you please clarify your last statement?
So I'm sitting on the west side of Telegraph Road, monitoring southbound traffic in a parking lot.
And that was the parking lot of Turbo Motors?
Yes.
At 12200 Telegraph?
Yes.
Okay.
So sitting stationary in that parking lot, when I got the reading of 58 and 45, Mr. Page was 694.6 feet away from my vehicle. So as he passed my vehicle in his automobile, that's when I exited the parking lot, pulled behind his vehicle, activated my emergency lights, and initiated a traffic stop on his vehicle.
All right. And that traffic stop was initiated in the parking lot down the road at 12510 South Telegraph?
Yes, that would be the Enterprise.
What was it?
Enterprise?
Enterprise, okay.
And you maintained visual contact with the vehicle the entire time?
Yes.
All right. Did you at some point identify the driver of that 2020 Ford Fusion, silver in color?
I did.
All right. And just for purposes of the record, do you see that individual in the courtroom here today?
I did.
And describe what he's wearing.
Wearing a brown suit and black undershirt.
Your Honor, let the record reflect that he has identified the defendant, Zachary Ryan Page, seated at counsel table.
The record shall so reflect.
Based on your reading and your observations, Corporal Schillenberg, did you then issue a citation to the defendant?
All right, so while we were on the traffic stop, I asked Mr. Page for his identification numerous times, which he refused to do so. I refused to do so. At that time, Sergeant Kish made my location. Mr. Page eventually ended up providing his driver's license to Sergeant Kish. At that time, I was able to issue him a citation for the speeding 11:15 hour.
All right, Mr. Page, you have some questions for the witness? You're free to step to the podium just so the court reporter can take everything down.
No questions for the witness.
Okay.
Who could have seen that coming? Sovereign citizens love the spotlight, but when it's their turn to actually question the witness accusing them, dead silence. They'll rant for hours about imaginary laws and fake contracts, but when it comes to challenging the actual facts, nothing. And here's the kicker. If they don't cross-examine, the court just accepts the testimony as truth. No drama, no debate, just game over. It's like being accused of stealing pizza, and instead of saying, "I didn't do it," you just scream, "I don't consent," and cross your fingers. Spoiler, judges don't argue for you. You have to defend yourself. I've literally seen a sovereign citizen sit there smirking while the judge was like, "Well, thanks for not saying anything, guilty."
All right. Your excuse, Corporal Kish, thank you.
Corporal Schillenberg. People rest at this time, Your Honor.
All right, do you have anything you want to enter into the record?
I want to enter into the record that I'm here today making special appearance under sue juris as one of the people of Michigan, not as a defendant under the jurisdiction of this court. I'm asserting my unalienable rights as secured by the Michigan Declaration of Rights under the United States Constitution, particularly under Article 1, Section 1 of the Michigan Constitution, which establishes all political power is inherent in the people. At that outset, I raise jurisdictional challenge to this court.
Your Honor, may I interrupt? And I apologize for interrupting, but Corporal Schillenberger is our traffic supervisor, and there's been an issue over the Taylor Police Department this morning. Technical
He's
difficulty.
he's free to go. Do you have any other questions for Corporal Schillenberg?
No.
All right, Corporal Schillenberg, you're excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, go ahead, sir.
This outset, I raise jurisdictional challenge to the court as jurisdiction must be proven on the record before any further proceedings can lawfully continue. The separation of powers doctrine, as outlined in Article 3, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution and the Michigan Constitution, makes it clear that no branch of government may exercise the powers of another. Before proceeding, I require clarification on whether this court is operating in a judicial capacity or administrative. If this court is acting under administrative directives or executive branch policies, rather than operating as a constitutionally recognized judicial body, then it is exceeding its lawful authority. No administrative agency, including the SOS, possesses lawful authority to direct judicial rulings or override the people's due process rights. Any attempt to enforce such directives constitutes an unconstitutional exercise of power, rendering these proceedings null and void, ab initio. Furthermore, jurisdiction cannot be established by assumption, presumption, or coercion. Due process demands that I am provided with clear, lawful authority establishing the legitimacy of this court's jurisdiction over me. An individual exercising my constitutionally protected right to travel. Without such proof, this court is proceeding without lawful authority and any ruling is issued a legal nullity. I now formally demand that this court is placed on the record the specific constitutional authority establishing jurisdiction over me as one of the people of Michigan, the legal basis that allows this court to act under administrative directives or executive policies without violating the separation of powers doctrine can lawfully take place.
All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, I heard testimony today from Corporal Billy Schillenberg. Corporal Schillenberg testified he is works the traffic bureau at the city of Taylor, and that he was in that capacity, working in that capacity on November 4th of 2024 at 1:35 p.m. approximately. He testified that this occurred within the city of Taylor, within the state of Michigan. He testified that he was trained and certified to use LiDAR devices, and that the device had been inspected. He explained how the device is placed at the hood of the vehicle or aimed at the hood of the vehicle, and it determines the speed in feet from the LiDAR device. He testified that at the time, I can't recall the exact number, but he was approximately 600 feet away from the driver of the silver Ford Fusion, and that he was clocked at a speed of 58 in a 45-mile-hour zone. He testified as the vehicle came towards him and passed him, he put his device down and initiated a traffic stop. The stop ultimately occurred at 12510, which is on Telegraph Road, which is the business of Enterprise. Corporal Schillenberg also identified Mr. Page as the driver of the motor vehicle, and his license was ultimately produced and he was issued a traffic citation. The standard for these hearings is not beyond a reasonable doubt, and there was no questions to Officer Schillenberg that offered any contradictory testimony to the testimony that was issued in this case. Therefore, Mr. Page, I find you responsible of the civil infraction of speeding 11 to 15 over, and that has a fine of $130. Mr. Page, do you need time to pay?
I do.
Okay. How much? Can you pay in 30 days?
I mean, yeah, if I got on a payment plan.
No disrespect to anyone struggling with money. We've all been there, but this guy gave off serious "can I get a payment plan" vibes. And honestly, that's what makes me wonder. Are sovereign citizens really just broke people trying to dodge a speeding ticket? Or do they actually believe this nonsense? Because let's be real, most of them either have empty wallets or their screws are a little loose. Why else would you stand in court ranting about fake laws instead of just paying the fine and moving on? I once saw a guy argue "I don't consent" so passionately that even the judge looked like he was about to hand him a GoFundMe link. So what do you guys think? Are these people broke, brainwashed, or just bored out of their minds? Drop your take in the comments. I know you've got some wild ones.